What's up, everybody? It's your favorite trigger-happy scientist, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Perceptor from Planet X. I wonder how he kind of has evolved into this like trigger-happy maniac. I'm not anti. I'm not against it. I think it's made him much more interesting. But anyway, that's not really the point of today. The point of today is this fella. He comes with a slew of accessories, enough accessories to point a stick at, including his signature kind of over-the-shoulder bit. You can extend it or keep it down. You can have this up, and this peg. There is some tight little tolerance issues here, but nothing that can't be ultimately remedied. And then he has these ports in the top, and you can stick that on. It sits up a little high, IMO, but, you know, it's there. I got to look at the game art again and see if that's how accurate that is. He comes with this bit of business, which is like his sniper rifle kind of thing, and you can have this down so you can kind of have it on the ground if you want, like a tripod of sorts, or you can take, or bipod, I guess, or you can take these off and they become pistols, single cast, black plastic. And that, I think, is how I would display him if I owned this figure, which I don't. And that's a good enough time to talk about this. This is on loan to me from John Gibbons, a friend of mine and a friend of the community, in my opinion, and he let me take a look at it. You can also have this sniper rifle, and you can extend it. I'll get him out of the way for a minute so we can just focus on this. Black plastic, we got some red paint on there, and then red plastic. And he holds it fairly well, but it is super big sniper rifle. And then he has two of these, and this flips down so that he can hold them, and these extend, and this back piece extends, and it's also a tight little tolerance. And then he can hold this, I guess, like this. Underneath. Doesn't really make sense for him to hold it any other kind of way. And he has two of those. We'll talk about the detailings on the other one. So, mostly just this maroon plastic, a couple gray accents along the way, and a couple red accents on the black. I don't know, I guess they just stopped the paint because it would have gotten weird down here, but I would have just done the stripe, I think. Either way, it's fine. It's a cool sculpt, and it's, you know, nothing exceeds like excess, I suppose. And you can also plug this into his shoulder and have them shoulder mounted. There's all sorts of like little ports and stuff, and etc. So that's him and his accessories. We'll take them off and we'll get down to the nitty gritty of the figure. Here we go. So the head, silver paint, yellow paint for the eyes, and it has light piping, which means I may have to... Alright, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not. But like it lights up the yellow. Something I don't think I've seen before, and it's interesting. And I don't hate it as much. I'm not a big light piping fan, but this kind of works because now it doesn't look dead when you're looking at it without light behind it. And it has the added effect. So I think I'm on board with that. The head itself is on a ball peg. So swivel and then a little bit, actually a fair bit up. And a little bit down. Mostly just the swivel and up though. Shoulders well articulated. You have a hinge here at the shoulder assembly. That gets you out to there. You have a swivel down here at the torso, so that gets you the 360, and then the torso piece is actually hinged, so you get a bit of a butterfly joint both forward and a little bit back. So that's really, really well done. For the arms, we have red paint and blue paint and black paint, it looks like, and it's sharp as a tack. Bicep swivel. Single hinged elbow gets you a little over 90 degrees with then blue paint on the forearm that looks really nice, and then this black thing here with the red translucence, and then a wrist swivel. So that all works well. Same for the other side. For the torso area, we have a reverse ab crunch. you know, not ideal for a nap crunch because you usually, to pose and such, you want more forward than back, but you do get the back. Translucent piece here, he added that repro label himself. Blue paint and maroon paint there. One thing I will say about the maroon paint is that it doesn't quite match the maroon plastic, but the maroon plastic is a really nice choice. It's a really deep maroon. The colors on this guy are phenomenal. Moving down to the... Wow, that's a lot of paint. So this is black paint on blue plastic on the thighs, and then red on top. They're on universals, so you get the full Monty and the full Van Damme. And then you have the thigh swivel. It's slight, built into that ball peg there, so where the circular universal joint, which is rather smart given what it is. Knees, you get a single hinge, but it gets you a little bit past 90 degrees, so that's fine. All the wheels and stuff are on their own ball pegs, so they can articulate and, you know, move as you want them to. And then they have the translucent piece here. You have these heels, which are really just, you know, this part goes up, so it's this heel spur, and then for the ankle articulation itself, it's on a hinge again, so you get an ankle tilt down, not really much up due to the sculpt. And then the hinge is on a swivel, and that swivel gets you the rocker. So that works well. For the calves, just accent-wise, we have this black, grayish paint, and then the translucent pieces, and it looks really good. Back of the figure cleans up phenomenally well. And one thing I should mention while I'm here is that when you have this thing mounted, it is on a hinge, so it can articulate as well, up and down, side to side, no problems there. All in all, a really well executed, well thought out, well painted action figure. All right, so let's transform them. Start by opening up the back here, folding the old hands into the forearms gag. They got us again, boys. It's all right. Close up. You then want to have it so that the discs are facing the back of the figure, and then you can collapse the forearms into the bicep. Actually, I think it's the bicep into the shoulder. And then open this piece up here, fold the head back and down into it, and then you can close that back up, bring this piece up and just out of the way for now, and then bring the shoulders up on the butterfly joint, which then brings us to the legs, which I do have a lot of gripes with, but they're not terrible, but there are some annoying things. That's not right, but that doesn't matter. Take this blue piece, flip that around to the front, same on this side, and then you have to untab this piece on the inner calf, fold that back on itself and plug it in. You can pull this assembly out, which is on a double hinge here, and then you unpeg the knee. The problem is that this piece here is not really attached, it's just plugged in, which makes for sometimes a frustrating experience. So anyway, but now we're here, and we have a hinge down in there. You pull out from there. Right? Let's see how I did this before. Let's see. Where did it turn? Oh yeah, okay, so here, I'm sorry. And then the hinge is here, so pull down on this gray piece. And then you can untab this whole thing and fold it in on itself, which allows you to see it just came undone. Bring this piece back up and plug into that port on the blue. Can you see that right in there? And that should hold that together. And then you just line this peg up with this port over here, and you use the reverse ab crunch to get it there. And then that is one side done. And then you take the arm and you take that tab and plug it into the corresponding slot on the front shin. And that's one side really done. And then you can adjust these. Okay, so we'll do it again. We'll try to make that a little bit smoother. I got 8 up there for a second. Embarrassing. Anyway, unplug this. Fold it back down around on itself. And then you can pull this assembly out. Pull the thigh up. Rotate here. Pull out this black track. Rotate at the bottom hinge, down and up. Put this black track back in. Fold this armature back up so that it plugs in to the thigh. Bring this piece up so that it plugs into the back. And plug in the forearm to the shin. And that is complete. So I'll get it cleaned up, we'll take a look at it, and then we'll talk about the different options in arming it up. But that's it. You use this piece here, and it tabs into the pelvis. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like 2 little notches in the pelvis. And it's not the best. And it's relatively frustrating. But there it is. And it does pivot a little bit, but it's a weak connection. It's just not ideal. And then you can take these and you can plug them into the same ports that we talked about previously, which are on the sides. And same over here. Let's collapse this. Good night. That's a really poor tolerance. There. You could take these guns off and stick them on the sides here. Here. And here. And then I can't, the instructions are terrible for this thing, but I can't find a good place to put this sniper rifle, but I imagine that there has to be one. I was imagining that, but I can't, for the life of me can't figure it out. It looks like there's like a little thing here that you could do something with. I don't know. That to me seems like poor planning at the very least, or at least terribly done on the instructions. The instructions are terrible, which I did have to look at. But yeah, I think this is a pretty mean tank. Like it's vicious. Let's look at him right next to Tiger Tracks. Decent size. And I don't know. I think it's a pretty mean looking tank. This articulates a little bit, but like I said, it's not the best. These, of course, swivel. You can bring these. There's nothing to tell you. You can't bring these out now if you want, but I don't think they have them in the picture as being out. But yeah, it's pretty intimidating. You know, I dig it. I like this mode a lot. It's not that I don't have issues in getting to this mode, and I definitely think they should have utilized this somehow, some way. But I mean, that's pretty, you don't want to see that coming at you, you know what I mean? So obviously he's intended for the video game shelf. I don't have any of those figures. I love the games, but I just never, honestly, what's funny is that the aesthetics have never really appealed to me of the game. But I think the other viable option here is to put him with your wrecker shelf, and I think he does work pretty well, at least size-wise. Aesthetically, you know, he is definitely off, but size-wise, he'd work just fine, either as a stand-in or as a permanent choice if you were good with him. And since he is decently made, it's no sense in saying no to that. So I think that is certainly a viable option. Final thoughts-wise, let's talk about the negatives. So there's a couple things going on with this fella. One is there are some stress marks that I've found along the way. You have to forgive me for not being able to point them out now. One was on a little black lock-in peg somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where it was at this point. There's some weird tolerance things, like getting these pieces to move smoothly out of the back of the weapon, and also the stuff not being secured, like the transformation elements like plugged in, where it's like a makeshift parts former for no reason. just by accident. And the other issue I have is not being able to utilize the sniper rifle in tank mode. I'm not really gigging them for that because there may actually be a way that I just wasn't able to figure out. Totally possible, not outside the realm of possibilities. This thing's instructions suck, so that's another negative. And there's no real box art on the box, so it's hard for me to figure out exactly what I'm supposed to do there. Who knows, I may have transformed the whole thing wrong. Planet X Perceptor alt mode. Huh. Apparently it's supposed to turn into a bag of steel-cut oats. That's a callback joke. But realistically, I just can't figure out other things to do with it. So that's a bit of a bummer because the rest of the tank really does shape up fairly well. But positives-wise, the paint is fantastic. The articulation plays just like an action figure, and most of the joints move really great, and it has tons of articulation, like the butterfly joint and the reverse ab crunch and stuff like that. Stuff you don't always get on every kind of standard release type of figure. Let's see what else. Use of translucence, different colored plastics in order to break up the sculpt and mold. The transformation is relatively straightforward as long as all the pieces move the way that they're supposed to and don't pop out. I don't know. The shoulder-mounted cannon is a bit much. I looked up the video game reference, and it is a bit. It sits up a little too high, for my opinion. I should have mentioned that with the negatives, but I think the sculpt on this is great. I think the materials are good. I haven't looked at a Planet X figure that I haven't really liked, or at least I haven't hated one. You know, so I think it's a fine Perceptor. If you're going in for a Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron wave or line or shelf, if you're going in for Perceptor figures, if you're going in for cool third-party figures or cool transforming figures, I definitely recommend this. There's only a few kind of hitches in the giddy up, and I think otherwise you'll be fine. Thanks for. Oh, I love the eye paint on the translucent plastic, the light piping. I'm not a big light piping fan, but if you're going to do it, I think this should become the new standard. That's a new idea, at least as far as I know and as far as I've seen, and I highly recommend that other companies that use the light piping hop on board that train. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.